Hello, and welcome to another episode of Rewind with Ro. This is our seventh episode. I'm your host,
Seven.
Ro Carter, and I have my amazing and talented co host, Rob. How are you, buddy?
I'm great. I'm great. Excited to be back and talk about some movies. Let's do
Boom,
it.
boom. I mean, we don't have movies, we have a movie.
A movie.
We've been very busy. We've been working. Black Film has been busting their behind. We're doing a lot of things. Great content going to come out in the next month or so. So, looking forward to that. But anyway, wanted to catch up. How was your weekend?
Weekend was great. Weekend was great. I was nervous going into Tuesday, but I feel good.
I mean, not half the country's gone, but I mean, you know,
I feel good.
all right, all right.
Woo! I thought it was going to be much worse than it is. People came out and voted. I'm excited. I'm happy. People care about democracy and care about their rights. So I'm excited. I'm good. I'm good.
This is just my views, not Black Film's views at all. Is what I'm about to say, but it's crazy. The Herschel Walker situation that is it's coming down. That is blows my mind. Blows my mind. So, whoo!
I cannot believe it is that close and that we have to go into a runoff with that.
Like an actual reverend versus somebody who has lost his, whether it be CTE or whatever it is, has lost his mind. So, anyway, that's just my opinion. But it's good to see we didn't lose everything. So hopefully we'll figure this out in the next couple of months. They have to vote again in December.
I mean, but there's still Arizona and Nevada out there. Potentially, we'll most likely definitely win one of those, and then maybe the second one, so we won't even have to worry about Georgia. That's the hope. And there's still some hope dangling out there that the House might go another
break. Stacey Abrams can't get a break.
I know, y'all. Come on,
Shout out
how
to
we can get that sister in the office?
Yeah, but I was like, yeah.
She be riling them votes up. I love her. I love Stacey Abrams.
In Florida, they don't even.
Well, that's his fault. He redrew all the districting maps so that there was no Democratic power anymore in Florida. So they redrew the districting map so it would go this way on purpose. He wanted to upseat all the Democratic House members, which he did by redrawing the map. So
yeah. I mean,
it worked.
They're gone. I mean, it was crazy. Oh no, but there's a young gay Latino that won in Florida.
The first Gen Z. Yeah, he's like 25 years old.
Yeah. So that shows things are coming and changing. I mean, they have to reach out. They've been hammering in for Black voters, but brown voters are the future, and you really need to get out there and start talking to them and see, hey, what's going on? Why are they going this way when nothing's really helping them in the long run? But that's just my views again. Anyway, anything you want to get off your chest before we go into our movie tonight?
No, that's all I wanted to get off my chest. I just wanted to applaud everybody who went out there and voted in the rain, in the wind.
Yeah, there was crazy storms in Florida. There's crazy storms. Denver's getting a crazy storm right now. So it's a weird time at this late in the year too. Florida,
yeah,
Denver. It's a weird time.
My ballot was so complicated. I had to sit down for like 3 hours and 3 or 4 hours and fill it out. So it was like 10 pages, and I was like, oh Lord. So I did it early.
You made sure to get out of the way.
Get it out of the way.
Nice. Any big plans coming up this week?
Well, going to see Wakanda Forever, of course. I know you already saw it. You got that press screening.
I won't spoil it, but there's some interviews that we're working on that'll be posted shortly, and you'll see them on blackfilm.com. I did a couple of amazing interviews, really great conversations with some of the cast members of Wakanda Forever. So I'm really excited about that. That should be coming up this weekend, so that'd be great. But yeah,
I'm worried. I feel like they all sold out already. I haven't bought my ticket yet. I'm like, dang, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, you might have to talk to somebody, Rob.
Oh my God. I waited.
I have to go out to another county and go see it, out of your jurisdiction and go.
I know, and I could have gone to the screening. I should have gone when they sent me that invite.
I learned from the first one. I was like, damn, this is crazy. But you know what there is? I went to the screening, but there's something about like being amongst your people and feeling that energy. I always remember the first one when he comes in, he's like, "Hey, auntie," and all the ladies like, "Hey." I was like, "Yo," I was dead. I was like, "This is great. This is great conversation." So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to everybody seeing it, and really, I hope the numbers are amazing and kind of just blow up. So
Absolutely.
let's get into it. Our movie tonight is The Silent Twins. This is based on a true story. These are two twins as young kids moved from Barbados to Wales, of all places. Their dad was a freight carrier for England, and so he had a job there. And so they grew up and became an inward sort of young children because they just didn't felt comfortable in the environment they were in. And so it led them to be silent, and they didn't speak to anybody but themselves. And this movie is crazy, ladies and gentlemen. It's based on a true story. They later on become writers. One sister's a little bit better than the other, but there's going to be publishings later that we're going to see more and more of. So I can't wait to get really dive into this story and see what you thought about it. So Rob, I picked this movie. What did you think automatically off the top of the title, and what did this movie, any feelings you got for and vibes from it?
So when I first clicked on the film, first of all, the artwork for like the poster art, the key art for the film is beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. Yeah. The key art is great. So I was like, okay, I'm interested to see where this is gonna go. It started off, I was a little bit confused, and I was like, what is happening? Because I didn't look up any information about the story beforehand. I wanted to be surprised. I didn't actually know it was based on true events until the end of the film. But I kind of got an inkling of that as the film was going on. I was like, this has to be based on something that really happened. But it's so odd that it's like, you would just never assume that. But I am a person who loves, I think I've mentioned this before, I love like art films. I love films that are creatively told. And I think one thing that I really loved about this project was that, like you said, the sisters became writers. That was one of the outlets that they had because, you know, as you mentioned, they're silent and they only talk to each other, and they've kind of shut the world out. They kind of live through their storytelling, through their short stories. And I love that the film incorporated their short stories into the actual movie. And it was done through that kind of CGI of the dolls that they made, which I thought was so creative and so artfully done. So kudos to them. This is another film where I'm like, you picked a good one, so I'm gonna only have good things to say about it. And also I love the aspect of kind of dealing with mental illnesses, or like diving into that world. And what was interesting, and I don't know how you felt about this, I felt like one of the sisters, the one played by what's the sister's name?
Letitia
Letitia.
Letitia was June. She was the better writer out of the two sisters.
Yes, and I felt like maybe she was kind of pulled into the circumstance by her sister a little bit unwillingly, and that's how she was more so the one who wanted to open up and like communicate and was dealing with the after effects of the relationship with her sister. But I thought that it was beautifully told. Like that was part of the struggle that the sisters had, like internally with their relationship. It was very well done. It was beautiful. What did you think? I want to hear more about what you have to say.
So a couple of things to add to this. The story takes place in 1970s, 80s in early England and Wales. So it's interesting, right? If you're like a fish out of water, right? You're the only black kid or person that looks like you is your sister or your family, right? So you're going to school with all white kids. I had a similar situation growing up as a kid. I went to a Catholic school, so maybe there was two or three black kids in the whole entire school. So I kind of understand that when you're walking into that environment. I'm not saying it's always negative, but just as a friend, as a kid, you're trying to just feel comfortable. So who's the next best thing next to you is your sister, right? And so you latch on to each other and kind of, hey, let's figure this out together. But in doing so, you kind of have your own struggles, right? I remember when my cousin, we were really close, you know, and we went to space camp. Don't judge me for this story right now. And
wrong with that. Smart kids.
And I remember we were so tied together for so long that I wanted a little separation. So I said, hey, you know what? You guys want to stay in the same room? I was like, no, I want to stay in a different room. At the hotel we were staying at the space camp. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I just wanted something new. And I didn't know that would help us later make our relationship even stronger. But sometimes in this case, it was kind of weird, right? That dynamic. So once June started being successful, Jennifer's character will constantly bring her back down to normal. And you get to see them, their highs and lows of their teenage years, right? So you see them as little kids, and we get an idea of what they're going through. They have a little bit of a lisp, but it's like with an accent, a Barbados accent, mixed with a little lisp because they don't really speak that much. But they're very smart kids. We see them in school struggling because they don't want to work and communicate. So they're really sent all over the place to different schools, to work with different doctors because someone's trying to figure this out. Like, why won't they talk? But they do talk, that. So when the doors close, they speak when they come out. So I thought at first when I saw this that this was going to be more of like one of these scary movies, right? And there's a ghost or something that has to do with that. But it wasn't. It was more psychologically. And so think about that. Later on in the story, you kind of find out to their own demise. They get into some trouble, which leads them into being kind of locked up, but not in a penitentiary, more of like an insane asylum with adults. And so that really molds them. Think about that in the 80s and 70s, technology or even science or how we thought about things wasn't truly there, right? We used to shock people to death or give them pills and just, lobotomize them in a way, but they were just like, that's it. And they can function to the point of like, hey, they just need to go to point A to point B. And so that kind of takes their creativism away from them. So it was very interesting to see that. And I thought about myself, back then. I was like, wow, what would I be like in the 70s or 80s? I'm kind of similar. I'm a 70s kid. So like growing up in that time and, as a kid, if I was 13 or 14 and I was in a catonic state because they drugged me up, where would my brain be? Would I be spiraling out of control? But also, because they get into trouble with these young kids, these boys, and you're sort of learning your sexuality, that leads them to doing promiscuous stuff and also like huffing. I forgot about huffing. So people that don't know, huffing used to do like spray paint or ammonia. Like, I don't think I can do that on the show and tell you how to do that. But
yeah, I would. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I almost just scratch. We're gonna edit that. We're gonna edit that. But kids at home don't watch this.
Don't watch it.
Huffing was you were trying to intake or digest the fumes from certain things, certain chemicals, and that would get you high. And you see these girls kind of go from that, and that leads to addiction. But that for June though, that leads to her creative side kind of coming out even more, and that makes Jennifer very jealous. So that dynamic of them going back and forth, constantly fighting. I was like, I didn't know what to do either. Right at one point, I was like, just get these people away from each other. Then, right, I was like, just get them away. But when they do that in certain parts of the movie, it doesn't help them at all. They kind of shut down because they needed each other. So, what did you think? Do you know any twins? Did you have twins in high school or college?
Yeah, I had twins in the family. I have cousins that are twins. I have friends in school who are twins. Yeah, so I've grown up around twins, but I think that like you said, the family dynamic was really interesting to me as well, and how one, you're very right. One of those opening shots when the mom is at the door, I was like, is this about to be a horror film? But it was a very cool shot of them from behind when they were at the table.
Yeah. I was like,
yeah, and it was the first introduction, which was so strange to me. It was the first introduction of the family also being shut out by the twins, and how the family just kind of moved around the circumstance as if it was like part of normal life, because they didn't want to disrupt them in a way. They wanted to make sure that they treated them properly, and they were trying to avoid causing any more trauma. I feel like they were trying to deal with them in a way that they get like with kid gloves because they were children. But I feel like it kind of didn't really help the circumstance. And then really seeing the way that their relationship affected the family unit as a whole when the sister comes back later on in the future, as they progress into teenagers. And we see that dynamic of how they're kind of separated from family as well. And then, like you said, them together having this bond because they've been silent to the world and only spoken to each other for so long that they become catatonic without each other. They can't function, like they shut down completely. So it was just such an interesting study on the behavior and relationship of these two girls. I was drawn into the film and I couldn't stop watching. I thought it was a very interesting story, and it was beautifully filmed. I loved like the segments where they, again, the sisters would make these dolls, these, like, was it paper mache or what was it? They would make these dolls that they were kind of creepy.
Stuff, just kind of put them together.
Yeah, they were kind of creepy.
That story, I want to give a shout out to Martha. Thank you, Martha, for tuning in. She says, I have twin cousins and my niece just had twin boys yesterday. Congratulations, Martha. I see you.
With all the twins in the family.
There you go. Let us know if there's anything that the twins do that's a little weird or just different than what we would do normally as siblings. Maybe there's something special. But to go back to what you're saying, Rob, you can finish.
No, yeah, I was saying I love how they also incorporated those dolls into again with that kind of CGI effect into telling the story. One thing, the story about the doctor and the Dalmatian, I was like,
oh yeah,
that was where that was going. I don't want to spoil it, but I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, so listen, I honestly, if you don't want to check out the film, at least look into their story, and you can Google it and you can see. So June, they had so many writings, so many really good stories, but they're all very, very dark. They're all very, very dark stories. But it's kind of interesting to see how their minds were working, because I guess that kind of led up to like, how do I, if my brain is like this, I don't really know what that feeling's like unless I do something, right? I have to do the action at some point. Does that make sense, Rob?
Yeah, because they had these incredibly wild imaginations, and their stories were fantastic. Like, they were fantastical. I don't know if that's a word. They were bigger than life. But they were very dark. And like, I know like the one about someone drowning in Pepsi, and they had all of these really beautifully crafted stories, but they were like whimsical and beautiful and dark, and insane that these two sisters who did not speak could be such gifted artists. But I think that was their way of communicating and getting out all the things that they were internalizing. But like you said, then it transitions into like, they physicalize it in real life, which leads them into dark places. So it's a beautiful story. And like you said, I think people should watch this movie because it's beautifully done. And Letitia Wright, and then the sister is Tamara Lawrence. They are phenomenal. The performances are great. I was
going to ask you next, and before I go there with that question, I was going to ask you, what did you think about their performances? But I just want to give a warning here at blackfilm.com. Sometimes we're going to make up words.
And, fantastical.
Yeah, don't get at us. Don't get at us.
Don't get mad. I made up a word. Okay.
That's what Rob does. He's fantastical. That might be a new thing. The fantastical Rob is coming on next. All right, there you go. So anyway,
you're killing me, Ro, because my brain I'm like, I want to figure out what this word is I'm trying to get out to describe their writing, but I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't find it. So,
brother, you sent us back fantastical. All right.
Well, we're gonna make it a new word. How about
that? All right. Hey, listen. I ain't mad at you. Fantastical sounds fantastical, Rob. But in all seriousness, what do you think about their performances? So, she's from Wakanda. Letitia Wright. She plays the sister of the king. I can't give anything away for the new one. Black Panther or not, I don't know. Can't tell you. But she's from, we all know her from Black Panther. So this is I think is a great kind of breakout role for her. You really get to see her hold her own. Also, the accent they do, right? It's a British accent, but with the Barbados kind of, and there's a lisp at the same time. So it's like, it's annoying, but it's also good because you really feel that childhood of that character is still in them and hasn't been able to come out and flourish because they haven't been around talking with adults. And so I really love, it's patience within the beginning, but it makes you understand the character a lot more.
Yeah, and I thought they did a great job of really depicting the bond that the two sisters had, which was incredibly strong. And like you said, there were spurts of them having immense frustration and anger at each other that would go from 0 to 100 very quickly. So they really captured these roles in an amazing way, and they embody those characters so well. Like you said, the accent alone, and then being able to deal with the mental struggles that these sisters had to go through, and and being able to tell this story that is based on actual people. And I know that I'm sure there's a set of challenges that come with that as well, because you want to do, you know, honor to these stories, because it's real people's lives. So I think they did a great job. I was thoroughly enjoyed the movie, and I recommend it. What, Ro? What?
Listen, I'm just taking your information in. I'm digesting it. Okay. Thank you.
I was about to make up a word, so I literally was like, "Let me stop before I make up another word."
Very nervous for a second. I was like, "Oh man, here we go." Here we go. Yeah, the cast is very good. So it's not a really big elaborate cast. There's some young boys they meet on the way. His name is Jack Bandera. He's one of the characters in the show, White Kid from America, and so he moves in next door, and so that plays a big interest for them as well, and kind of that maturity and sexuality is coming about. That was very interesting, and as you mentioned earlier, Rob, their visuals. Like I love, they go into these crazy visuals with how they feel, and you could see there's a lot of love, right? So even when they get in trouble the first time, the sisters are there, and June's brain goes into like her getting married, and like it was beautifully done. Her and her sister become these amazing writers. So it's crazy to see that balance that she had, or that they had. Like it could be violent, it could be very aggressive, but at the same time, there was still love in their hearts. Even that Christmas day that it never happened for them, they made gifts, right? And they were going to have it ready for the family. So they did care about things, but it's just, I guess if you go too inward for too long, and there's a word for that. I'm sorry, guys, I don't have that, but there's a word for twins when they speak like a certain language. It's a silent language that twins are able to communicate with each other. And it's very interesting. It really take some time and watch the film, because there's a lot of interesting things that the details that I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that. I had no clue how certain people react like that, and which leads to them, getting sick. They both, not give it away, they both pass away later. But one of the biggest things that
I believe June is still alive, isn't she?
No, yeah. So June said when her sister died, it helped her move on.
Yeah.
And so that was the biggest thing. So that was so much, like you said earlier, it was probably like a weight carrying her down for so long, and she couldn't spread her wings, because she was like, listen, if I do this, my sister's going to go into a dark place, and I don't know if we'll ever bring her out. Yeah, so I recommend it. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, it's dark. It's some patience with it, but I really enjoyed the film. So this is my favorite part of the show, where we ask Rob, what's he going to give it? I was giving 1 through 4s before, but Rob just always gives 4. So 10's a little more difficult for Rob. So he has a harder time, but he speaks the truth, which I love. So Rob, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give you 2 questions. Scale of 1 to 10, what would you give the movie? And then on the performances, what would you give it? Ooh, look at that, Rob, too.
See, Ro, you keep changing up this scale every time. See, that's why
1 to 10. It's still 1 to 10. Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would I give the film? Man, I just love all these beautiful Black stories that are coming out, and I want to, rate them fairly without bias.
You guys gonna love this. Wait for this.
I am going to give this film I'm just gonna give it a 10. Because Ro, I told you before, you cannot pick these like art films, because I love these art films. They like tug at my heartstrings. They bring me so much joy. I'm giving it a 10, Ro. I'm giving it a 10 because I think the performances were stellar. I think the storytelling was stellar. I think the story progressed in a way that was beautifully done. I love the way that they incorporated the actual short stories from the sisters into the film. I love that they incorporated their dolls to like really put you in a state where you where you felt like you were in their mind, you were in their head, you literally were living the joy or the experience that they live, and the juxtaposition of that with the reality they were in was, I think, beautifully crafted. And what could have been a terrible movie if done wrong was great.
Okay.
So I'm going to give it a 10.
Okay. You know, it made me think about Kid Cudi's film, the cartoon on, and so I don't know, right? The sister's still alive, so it's nice to know, like, it's her brain kind of thinking that. I hope they asked her more questions, because Kid Cudi, it felt black, right? But I don't know what a Barbados British, like, young black girl's brain is doing in the 70s and 80s. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
So I don't know. So it's very interesting. Rob, you didn't disappoint on that one. We're gonna do a little edit reel where it's just Rob rating, and it's just gonna be him saying, "Oh, it's a 10. It's a 10 again. Oh, it's another 10."
I've given some lower scores. That I don't want to bring up that one film. It was about an hour and a half, and I'm like, y'all could have threw another 30 minutes on there because that was done poorly. But go back and look at the pilot.
See, ladies and gentlemen, he can do it. He can do it.
Yeah, I'll give a proper rating when it's due. I give a proper rating every time. Performances. I'm gonna, but again, I'm gonna go. See, you're judging me, Ro.
There's no judgment here. It's my face, Rob. It's my face. It's what it does. It just looks. I look at the screen. I see you. This is my face.
I am going to give performances, and mind you, I'm an actor. Martha, who is in the comments, we have a film coming out. Shameless plug. Performances, I'm going to say a 10, because they really embodied these characters in a way that I do not think was easy to do. They took on the dialect. They took on the capability of being able to move in unison and have this like silent language that they spoke between the two of them. The love they had was palpable. It was real. Martha's laughing at me. Don't be laughing at me, Martha. The love between the sisters was it came across authentic. And then also the anger and the hate for each other came across very authentic. They had to go, again, when you watch it, if you haven't seen it, when you see them go from 0 to 100, it is real and it is lived in, and it is like an authentic experience that those two women are going through together. And you feel the hate for each other, and you feel the love they have for each other, and you feel the pain and fear when the two of them aren't together, and you feel the compassion and the joy of being reconnected when they're brought back together. So I think they just really studied these relationships. And I think they really had to do a deep dive into like that dialect. They had to do a deep dive into embodying like the reality of people who are dealing with some kind of mental illness, and really telling that story in a beautifully crafted way. So I think the performances were a 10, Ro. So I'll let you judge my scoring, my rating now.
I thank you again, Rob, for your honesty here. We always love it here at Rewind with Ro. Martha can't wait to watch. Martha, if you have Peacock, it's free on Peacock. Some people pay $20. I don't know why they did that, but Martha, it's free on Peacock.
I wanted to support the film financially, I guess, so I paid the $20 on Apple TV.
Once again, good answer. That was good. That was good. Support Black films, yes. Would you support it? You know what? I'm not even gonna go there. No, I'm gonna ask that question. All right. Yes.
And it is called The Silent Twins. I realized I put the wrong time.
Yes. Martha, fantastical. Yes. That's sticky.
Yes, it is fantastical.
That is sticky. That is sticky. Wow, that's great. We came up with some for Rob. So now Rob, fantastical.
It's a word now. It's a word.
So I give the movie itself, I'm gonna give it an 8. It's very dark, and my patience level for dark, sometimes I have to be in a mood for it. So I just wasn't, but no, I love the visuals, everything was there. It was just kind of, I felt it dragged a little bit in certain areas.
Where?
When they're going around to like the different schools and they're trying to figure it out. I was, when they're in the insane asylum, I just felt it kind of drag a little bit there. No?
Now I'm judging you.
All right. I see it. I see it. Like, give it an 8. I don't give 10s out like that, Rob. I don't give 10s out like that.
Okay, performance.
This is a tough one. And Letitia, it's hard for me to see her outside of Wakanda. So I apologize to her. Lauren, the other young lady, she was amazing. She reminded me of Koku a little bit. Wasn't that crazy? Reminded me a little Koku. But Letitia Wright, for me seeing her first performance outside of Wakanda, I'm gonna give her 8.5, 9. And because I was visualizing other strong Black leads for that role. Like we'll come with a list off the top of my head right now, but thinking of other strong Black leads for that role, Black lead women that would do that role, and what would they add to that? Like the young Black lady from the Bond movies, like her with that little, you know what I'm saying? There's a couple people I have in mind, like, wow, I would love to see their performances and see how it maybe would match up. But together, though, I thought they were 10. Like on screen together, I thought they were a 10. But I think Lauren was definitely a stronger sister than Letitia's character was.
But and again, not to negate your rating, but I think that was due to the reality of their relationship, and that's what I was saying earlier. I think that June was a person who may not have been as far gone as her sister, and her sister kind of was dragging her into that space of disconnecting, because June really did want to open up and share her writing and talk to people. She was always the one who almost slipped up because
you're right.
She was a little more connected.
For character can be overdone, right? And so I kind of like that she was able to turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah,
but when she turned it on, there's just flames everywhere. I was like, girl, you might need a hug or something. You crazy. Anyway, that is our film. We recommend it. Please check out The Silent Twins. Again, it's on Peacock. It's free if you have Peacock, so you can see it there. I think even downloading Peacock right now is still free. They're still trying to figure it out on that streamer. Yeah, I don't know what you've been doing, buddy. Just go to your phone, download the apps. 2 seconds.
I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it now.
Martha, thanks for tuning in. Couple of news. I will be out of the country. I'm going to Japan. Hello. So I'll be gone for 2 weeks, but we will be back in December. So the first Thursday in December, we will be ready to rock and roll. So I believe November ends on a Wednesday. Yeah, so December 1st, we're back ready to go. We're gonna have some new stuff. It's gonna be crazy. For you, Rob, anything coming up?
Yeah, I wish we could. I'm sad we won't be able to talk about Wakanda forever, but
Rob, if you want to make it happen, I can wake up. I can be up. You want to make it happen? Who knows? Yeah, that's
no.
right.
When you come back, we're gonna talk about it. It's never too late.
So maybe we'll surprise people and do a show. Like, listen, if I can figure out the time and get Wi-Fi, I am fine with that, and I can do a show from Japan. I think that would be awesome. Do a live show from Japan, and we do Wakanda, just Wakanda,
and some authentic attire.
Ooh, that'd be crazy. Thank you, Martha, so much for the love. Please tell your friends. Tune in every Thursday. We'll post it. If you want to send us your Instagram handle, we can do that too, and we'll send you a link saying hi. So when I post for the show, we're good to go. But we do this every Thursday. So again, we might pick it up next week. We'll find out, talk about it. But if not, definitely December 1st. So thank you for your time tonight. Rob, you want to leave us with anything else before we go?
Just peace and love.
That was fantastical, Rob. Nice job. All right, thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Enjoy Japan.
Thank you, brother. Martha, have a good one. Thank you for tuning in.
Bye, Martha.